North American Harness. Wait. North American Harness update here with an extra before our live show tonight, Friday at 9 p.m. on 148.ca/1, analyzing very quickly the $125,000 guaranteed pool for the Meadowlands Pick 5, starting with race number 3 on tonight's program, projected post time at 7:15. Now, the first leg of this sequence, which we all agreed is very tough to even narrow down to get a relatively affordable ticket. This first leg is an hours of 3,500. Their last 5 starts, filly and mare pace, a field of 10 going postward here. And Mike, to start off with you, I know you just tried to find any kind of form in any horse.
It's a tough race. And it's sloppy tonight. It's, some of these horses really aren't in very good form. So I use the ones that are in good form, despite their, detriments, let's say. Starting with the 3. This horse, I think, looks like the speed in here. Had the rail last time, ran into Charming Hill, who's won several in a row, and just you really couldn't get into the race. Ended up 6th. Prior to that, though, raced very well at Saratoga. Was 1-2 back, came home 28-3, and then was 2nd 3 back. So that horse is a use. The 6, Mojera Hanover. I realized this horse hangs, but dropped last time. Ended up just getting beat half a length for 2nd. This horse has won 35 races as an 11-year-old. I'm using, some people aren't. The horse has won 4 races in the wet. I'm going to use that one. And then the 8, Fire and Diamonds. This horse looks like should be able to get out early. Was 3rd last time to Charming Hill. Talked about that. Prior to that, has faced some other ones like McCase of Hearts, Sergeant Molly Pitcher. Horses like that are very sharp. So I'm going to use this one also, figuring it's going to get a up early type kind of trip. So 3, 6, and 8 for me to start.
Mike's analysis so good you could hear it twice. Rod, for you, how do you approach this tough of a race?
For me, I'm just going to try to get through it, I guess. It's very tough. This whole sequence is tough, so I'm starting small and finishing my ticket large. I'm going with the 3 here. I'm going to single the favorite, who I think is going to be the favorite anyway. The last race, first start at the Meadowlands, horse was okay. I thought the horse could have been a little bit better, but Brett Miller did pick this horse, and I think this horse should be able to get a good trip in this type of field. Before that last race, was racing competitive over at Saratoga and has beaten, similar horses to what she's in with tonight. I just think with the inside post and, some pretty decent sloppy track numbers as well. Doesn't win often on the slop, but, likes to be close in the slop. So I'm just going to make it simple and go with the 3 there.
Oh, just a single. All right. For me, I said the 3 on paper should be the horse that wins. However, with races like this that are so wide open, I like to throw on a horse that seems to be improving coming into it. And for me, that's the 2 Sam, who at least draws well too and gets post relief after starting from post 7 at Freehold last out. Gained ground in that race, which makes me think that this mare is somewhat improving, somewhat not sharp, but at least decent enough to perhaps put in a good effort against this field of debatable horses lining up here. And so mostly she's just going to be up close. She could get into the mix. 3 starts ago was the best of the rest, again in a giant blowout. So something could fall in her lap. I don't know. But 2-3 for me in this difficult race. Casamiasa is the horse that theoretically should win. The second leg, race number 4, is a non-winners of 2 trot. Purse of 10,000 on the line. Another tough race because the morning line favorite is so unreliable in terms of his gait. Mike, starting with you, how do you go about trying to find contenders here?
Well, I mean, like you say, the 6 receivership, this horse was bet to 1-2 last time off a massive qualifier where, the horse was bumpy, but ended up, a 54 qualifier for, this kind of race is probably 3 or 4 seconds faster than the race is going to go. However, last time 1-2 broke from the 7 hole and sloppy track tonight. The horse is 0 for 2. Very difficult to trust at a very short number. Again, so I'm going to use 3 more. I'm going to use the 2 who raced very well last time. Gets Marcus Miller this time. Close to be 2nd against Miss Olivia May, who got the jump that night. And I like the wake up off the qualifier. The horse is obviously improving. So, especially if the 6 doesn't trot in here, you need to have something that's going to be going late. And I do think this one will. The 7's also easy to have, break free. This was Brett Miller's choice. Raced well, I thought, numbers of 2 last time. Ended up third, closing 29-1. This horse will be picking up pieces. Had terrible posts. I think that, the fact that he chose here is indicative that the horse does have some ability. So I'm going to use that one. And then the 8 Flamingo Pete. This horse, his race 2 back, numbers is 2, straight numbers of 2, didn't race well, coming off the Yonkers lines. Then they went to Saratoga. The horse was bet in that race from the rail and, got a little tired, was 7-5 late. I feel like the horse is going to blast here and could control things depending on what happens behind. May end up in the pocket if the 6 does go. And I want him, up near there depending on how things go. So 2, 6, 7, 8 for leg 2.
Rod, how about for you? How reliable do you feel the favorite is here?
1, he's going to get hammered at the windows. 2, he could very easily break. So I'm not big on the horse, but I do think he's the best horse if he stays flat. Last week he went off 1-2 and made a break. So that should show you how much you should trust the horse. But I'm going 4 deep here. 2, 4, 6, and 7 for me. The 2, I like off that qualifier. That was a good first start off the qualifier. Does lose Brett Miller to the 7, but gets Marcus. So I do think this horse has a chance and should improve second start. The 4 has some braking issues, but this horse does have speed and is plenty capable. This horse moved at the quarter 2 starts back into a very fast second quarter and just got tired on the end. And I thought raced really well that night. Then, last week made the break, but picks up Anthony Napolitano tonight, and I think this horse will definitely be a little bit better as long as he stays flat. The 6, I've already talked about. The 7, Mike pretty much said it there. This horse draws the outside every week, and, seems like a pretty game horse. He's just got to be close enough. So 2, 4, 6, and 7.
For me, I don't like this race very much. However, I was able to find 2 horses that made relative sense. For instance, the 7, Break Free. For instance, in a race like this, a horse named Break Free just seems the most logical, even though 3 starts back he made a break. Yet last out raced decently to finish third against this numbers of 2 bunch. And then before that was just not in contention from post 10. Seemed like was just trying to get a mile under his belt to make sure his gate issues were resolved. Coming in here, should be in a similar spot. The question is just whether or not his mild late kick would be enough to win the race. And then I also throw on the 10, 11 Teen, who seems like she could potentially be the lone speed if the 6 ends up losing stride. But if he doesn't, then the 10 might not be in the best situation. Her race last out was her first in a couple of weeks, and she's raced somewhat decently for as aggressively as she was sent. She's going to have to be put into a similar spot again from post 10. However, the race could end up falling in her favor if she ends up being the only one out front early. So I'm 7-10 in the second leg. Third leg is race number 5, and ours of 5,000, our last 5-start trot. We have a field of 10 going postward here again. Now, Mike, I'm curious, did you end up taking a single in this race?
I did. I do like others, but, for cost purposes, I think you have to, single New Jersey Viking off the drop. Ake is going to drive. This horse has speed, and, he has talent. It's just a matter of, him putting it all together. If he does put it all together, these are lesser horses. He should be out there, and they should not be able to catch him. So if he fails, there are others that I like in here. Like I said, for cost purposes, I do like the 1 a little. It's Chocolate Time, who I feel like, is a closer in a race that could end up a little bit filled with speed, depending on if they decide to go after the 8 or not. So I would use that one if you're going to spread a little bit in the tickets. And then the 8, long story short, who is very sharp right now, won 3 in a row at Saratoga, and then just missed last time from the 8 hole. Likes to be out there early also. Could end up in the pocket behind the 8. Depending on a retake, things like that. So singling the 8 for cost purposes, but also like the 1 and 10.
Rod, do you feel that the 8 is that strong a contender here, or do you go a bit deeper?
I'm a little bit on Mike's side and a little bit against him. The 8 is the best horse here. If he stays flat, he's probably going to win the race. But, that's the same situation we said the race before also. So I'm taking a chance hoping that one of these two favorites break. And I'm going to go 6, 8, and 10 here. The 6, 2 pretty good qualifiers. The track was not fast at all on the 29th. And I do think that was one of the better qualifiers of the day. Nothing was getting home that day. They were coming like 30-second last quarters the entire day. So, gets Brett Miller tonight. I think this horse is going to improve and, may need to start. But if the 8 breaks, it turns the race wide open. And then, Mike already said everything on the 8. The 10, I do like a little bit here. I hate the post, but keeps Billy Dobson in the bike coming from Saratoga. Those are pretty good miles at Saratoga. Has won 3 out of the last 4 and just got beat last time. Parked the mile. So, this horse likes to win, and he's a hard trying horse. So, even from the outside post, I think this horse is in pretty good form right now. So I'm going to use him again. 6, 8, 10.
I'm 3 deep here. I agree with the 8. However, I'm not as confident just because that last start could be a sign that he might be a little short, albeit he went pretty fast early on to go and get the front, and he could very well end up getting an uncontested lead early, and the question is whether or not he'd be able to hold off challengers late. Nonetheless, I also throw on the 4 Caulfield, who was first over last time as the favorite, and he hanged a bit to finish 4th. Before that, gained a slight bit of ground to finish 2nd against a bit better. He has class. He has a little bit of form, and the question for him is basically whether or not that's going to add up to a win. It's as simple as that. And then the 10, long story short, I'm going to keep it long story short. He moves to bigger track after racing well on small track, and if he raced well on small track, he should race well on big track. Long story short, 4, 8, 10 for me in the 3rd leg of the sequence. 4th leg is a filly and mare. Now a 5,000 in the last 5 starts. It's race number 6. We have here 10 more lining up. Mike, for you, this is another tough race. How do you narrow it down?
4 deep here, starting with the 1, Keystone I Wish, who I thought raced well from the 8 hole last time. Draws well here again. Had no chance, first up. Was really parked at every step there, 2 back. And, won 8 times last year. So I'm interested in that angle. The 4, Jaded Dream. This is Burke. This horse has burned some money lately, gets back to the big track, and, is capable with his class, or with her class, but it's just a matter of, does the big track move her up? Hard to trust, but hard to leave off. The 7, Beautiful Lady. This horse drops from numbers of 8,500. Really has not been making a dent in those races. This is probably a much better level for this one. This horse won 7 times last year. Also, gets stops in here. I'm curious to see what he does early because this horse can show speed, and an earlier, I think, spot would benefit this one. And then the 10, Free Show, who, Rod talked me into a little bit here. This horse is also dropping from numbers of 85. It's faced Cousin Mary, Average 8, Hanover. Those are better horses than these. This horse has raced well. The only problem is the outside post and, the wet track, but this horse has raced well on wet tracks also. So I'm going to use 1, 7, 10.
Rod, for you, I know you went a little bit deeper trying to dig out a price here.
I did, and then I had to cut it back a little bit. But I am price shopping here. I think this is the leg you can really get a price in. And so I'm going to go 3 deep here, 1, 3, and 10. The 1 I thought had a really good start last week. Sat the rail, got shuffled back a little bit, and never shook loose until about the 8th pole. And just came flying up the inside, raced really well. I'm going to use, again, thinking this horse is going to be up close and sitting on the rail. Hopefully, trip works out. The 3, another price shot. Hasn't drawn inside for a couple months now, and I think Andy's going to keep this one a little bit closer, be a little more aggressive tonight. And, this one overall I think is a good price play, especially with the change back in class and not having that outside post. And then the 10, Free Show. I really like this one. It's Pelling. Jim Marone's pick in the race over like 2 or 3 other ones. Dropping in class, the one negative is the 10 hole, but that's why I went price shopping on the other ones. But on the sloppy track, this horse has 3 starts, a win and a second, so it's hard to discount this horse, and she's probably going to be the likely favorite here. So 1-3-10.
For me, I'm too deep. I start with the 7, Beautiful Lady, dropping in class last out, picked up cover, flew home a bit in 28 and change to finish 7th by 2 lengths against Better. Now drops in class. I look back at her other starts here at the Meadowlands against Nars of 85, was sitting behind a fast pace, ended up kind of quitting because of that, and then the start after that, in against 2 tough like Abby Jade Hanover and Free Show, who of course is the other one I use here. But as for Beautiful Lady, she could end up getting a decent setup if she gets dragged in on some good cover, and then it's just whether or not she's able to kick home strongly. The 10, Free Show is a fairly obvious one, though. I hope that people are a bit hesitant to use her because of the 10 hole. I'm not necessarily that bothered by it. She's been racing well enough against tougher company in the past for me to think that she's able to overcome it fairly easily. The one time she didn't show any speed was 4 starts ago when she experienced some interference at the gate before it dispersed, and she got away 7th at the quarter. Otherwise, she's usually been in a decent spot up towards the front. I'm not worried in any way. She should probably be in a similar position here. I'm 7-10 in the 4th leg. Final leg of the sequence, the 5th leg, race number 7. Nowers of $8,500 in their last 5 starts. It's a trot. We have 10 lining up here. Mike, for you, this seems like another kind of decent price race, but I'm not necessarily sure how deep you go.
4 deep, using the 1 down under matter. This horse raced very well last time against no recess. The problem with a lot of these is they've missed time, and the cancellation has caused issues. So, but I did like that race. It made me reconsider this horse, and especially off that 55 first half, and still hung around to just missed in 53 and 3. Good post again, should be up early again, and it's going to be tough, especially if it shakes loose. The 6, Watkins, he's hard to leave off because he's a class horse. He usually kind of hangs around this level, non-winners of 85, non-winners of 11.5 type. But he's capable for sure, especially off a trip. Really had no chance last time. 2 starts back, 1 after a nice setup. So he's a bit every other and should be on tonight. The 8, a horse I definitely like, Cash Lee Brook, really had no chance in that Sirocco Jacob race. Came flying to just miss in 27 and 4. Prior to that was facing better at Yonkers, with outside posts and Saratoga. This horse has a lot of class and, could get a setup in here depending on how it goes early. And then the 9, Broadway Concert, I thought raced well last time. Ended up first up and, getting to the, tip of the leader, and then just kind of faltered a little late, but has some back class. Won numbers of 8,500 on December 2nd. This horse should be out early, has some class, any kind of setup, and the horse is right there. So 1, 6, 8, 9 to finish.
Rod, what numbers do you use here?
I'm 6 deep here, actually. I'm going 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 8. The 1, I think is kind of obvious with the rail. This horse should leave, look for a 2-hole trip, and hopefully trip out. The 2, I like a little bit. This horse likes the mud, and 5 for 15 in the mud, those are big numbers. This horse getting a little bit of class relief as well, and I think the inside post is going to help keep this one close. The 4, Alexander Hanover, it's Napolitano on the drop. Last time this horse faced similar company, he was 2nd, and that was over at Philly, but I thought that race last week was pretty good, and he did get impeded down the stretch too. The 5, PL Ichabod, probably going to be the favorite here. Has taken some money and hasn't gotten there yet, but draws a little bit better tonight, so I think it's a must-use. And then the 6, Watkins, another one on a drop, beat similar 2 back off a perfect trip. If he leaves and he looks for that same trip, he's got a big chance. And then the 8, Cash Lee Brook, I thought raced pretty well last time. gets Abatello a drop. This is kind of one of those horses you don't really know what he can do, but I like him as the big price play in this race, and he's got a real big shot. So 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 8.
I'll keep mine brief and quick. The one, Down Under Matter, pretty obvious one. Draws inside, raced well towards the front, showed speed for the first time in a while. So this horse is probably live judging off that trip, and if he's able to replicate it, could be alive and well in the winner's circle, as us popular sports commentators witfully say. The 4, Alexander Hanover, is an interesting one that I threw on. Kicked home in 27 and change to finish 6th against an hours of 11,000. Is one of a few that drops in class now to this 8,500 level, where he can do well if he gets the right setup. He is definitely very trip dependent, and he's also one that is known to ride the rail. So if somehow those two things work together, this horse is a decent late kick that could put him into contention, especially if he's able to do something like his last start in the drop in class, because not many else here can. And the 7, Rossini, is a horse moving up in class that's coming in off a very nice effort against hours of 5,000, parking from the half into the stretch and just putting away his rivals as the 2-1 favorite, easily to win by 3 lengths. Moving up in class, I'm not really fretted at all. I have no qualms with this horse, albeit it could be a better race than one where there's an influx of horses dropping from the 11.5 level into the 8,500. But if that last start shows anything, it shows that this horse is live. And if he's as sharp as he was last out, he's going to need a little bit of a better trip, but he could be a decent price play here in the move up in class. So I'm 147 in the last leg, which makes my ticket go as follows. For 50 cents, I am 2-3 with 7-10, with 4-8-10, with 7-10, with 1-4-7. Again, that's 2-3 with 7-10, with 4-8-10, with 7-10, with 1-4-7. That's $36 for 50 cents. Mike, what's your ticket?
That's 3-6-8 with 2-6-7-8 with 8 with 1-4-7-10 with 1-6-8-9. It's 96 for 50 cents.
And Rod, what's your ticket?
3 with 2, 4, 6, 7 with 6, 8, 10 with 1, 3, 10 with 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 8. It's 108 for 50 cents.
And with all that said, this has been another edition of Nahu Extra. Catch the real Nahu North American Harness Update tonight, Friday evening. That's tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern. That's in 2 hours from now if you're watching live. And if it's 9 o'clock when you're watching this now, then stop watching this, because the Pick 5's already over. Go watch, listen to North American Harness Update on 148.ca/1, and also make sure to check out NahuPicks.com for our racing analysis from tracks like the Meadowlands, as well as Western Fair and Woodbine for every race day, and maybe pick up a nice t-shirt or two if you're looking for clothes, because I know you people out there on the internet aren't wearing any clothes. And why should you? We can't see you. Join us for North American Harness Update tonight at 9 p.m. But until then, good luck.